Welcome back. The Defense Department's Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification will require vendors that sell to DoD to pass assessments of their cyber readiness. The department's created a stepping stone to those requirements as it figures out what those assessments should include. Dave Bailey is Vice President of Security Services at Redspin. Dave, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show. What is the Joint Surveillance Voluntary Assessment, and what does it assess?
Well, thanks for having me. And the Joint Surveillance Program is an opportunity for a Department of Defense company to get certified under CMMC prior to the rulemaking that's supposed to happen later this year. It is an assessment that will ensure the Department of Defense that they have certain cybersecurity practices in place and that they can protect sensitive information.
And that stepping stone or kind of linked to what the final CMMC requirements become is what industry's trying to learn more about. What have you seen trend-wise as far as companies that are going through the process and what they've encountered, what you've seen as far as trying to get these companies to the end, or at least the end of this part of it?
The companies that have participated in the Joint Surveillance Program, overall, it's been an extremely positive experience. It provides for them a mechanism to go through the process now. There's also a little bit different in the rigor that will take place once the law goes into effect. The Joint Surveillance Program does allow for a company with minor findings outside of the assessment to be able to fix those findings over about a 180-day period in order to demonstrate that they have those practices in place. Once the rulemaking goes into effect, those requirements will become a little harder to maintain. I
was at the ACT-IAC conference a couple of weeks ago, and some of the leaders of companies there were talking about this process and said, well, I'm hesitant because if I go through it now, am I going to have to go through it again when the final rule comes out and so on? What does that mean for companies that want to sell to DoD?
No, the Joint Surveillance Program is the CMMC process. They will honor it once the law goes into effect. So really it's an opportunity for a company now to get ready, get prepared, and also to achieve that certification prior to the rulemaking. Because once the rulemaking goes into effect, there's many thousands of companies that will all be vying for those certifications.
When a company comes to this process, what makes a company well prepared for the JSVA, and what makes a company maybe not quite ready for prime time to go through the process?
Now, a company that has to go through this process must demonstrate that they're able to have the practices in place to protect sensitive information. So to be able to identify that security enclave, that area where you're going to protect that unclassified information, they have to be able to, show the assessors and show a company like Redspin that they can implement the things that are appropriate for that data protection.
What's the long tail look like? What do you see for this process 6 months out, a year out, 2 years out? And when we get past the official beginning of the CMMC, I always miss that, one of those M's, the CMMC certification process, what does that look like for the companies that are in the program and for the companies that are going through the program to get certified?
The overall CMMC certification is not just a one-time or single action that a company has to take. It is a process that is a long journey, and will over time they have to continue to demonstrate that they have those practices in place, and we see this particular process to continue to mature as we look towards potentially other countries, other agencies as well that will participate in a program that ultimately says that you have to demonstrate those requirements to an assessor.
And that will give me plenty of time to make sure I get both M's when I try to say CMMC from now on.
Exactly.
Thanks very much for joining me, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.